Coming up on Refresh Cinema.
And Hog Time, and a scene cuts to Jerry back at camp talking to Larry, Moe, and Curly. What was it?
Pat, Tim, and Julie.
And Julie.
Hey everybody, I'm Vincent.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Refresh Cinema.
And today we are talking about heavyweights.
So, I grew up watching this movie a lot.
I know, and I saw it for the first time last night.
I know.
Half asleep after sharing 3 bottles of wine. So we have very similar experiences with how we've absorbed this movie. Oh my God.
This is going to be interesting. Basic plot of this movie. We'll go over the plot first. And you tell me if the plot is different for you, considering the filter you watched it through.
Can I swear on your podcast?
Yeah, I'll cut.
Here we go.
I'll bleep it out later. Just don't go early 2000s Howard Stern and make me bleep every other word.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Yeah. So we have Jerry, whose summer vacation has not gotten off to the best start. His school bus pulls away from him. A dog almost eats him. He can't throw a ball over a fence.
Right.
And he gets home, and his parents are going to make him go to Camp Hope, which is a camp for fat kids.
Right, guys?
It's a fat kid! Are you crazy? No way!
He's against it at first, but then he goes to the camp. He's starting to make friends. He's like, wow, everyone's a fat kid like me. No one's getting made fun of. Everyone's cool and fun and all this other stuff. And then it turns out that the camp has been taken over by a crazy health nut played by Ben Stiller, and things get kind of dark for a 90s kid film in some places. Is that what you remember happening?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Kyle watched it with me. For those of you at home, Kyle is my partner. And there were so many times where he was like, these kids should be in jail. Ben Stiller should be in jail. Oh my God.
Yeah. I think I appreciate that little bit of it because, like, just with kids films, the 90s was that phase where they were like, how dark do we want to get with kids stuff? Because like 80s, whatever the Labyrinth is a kids film. You know what I'm saying? Labyrinth is a kids film, and David Bowie's trying to stealing a baby to seduce an 18-year-old Jennifer Connelly.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Labyrinth?
No, but someone has hands in their eyes.
No, that's Pan's Labyrinth.
They shouldn't make them so similarly titled.
No, they shouldn't.
Well then, I don't know anything. Okay.
I'm picturing that in the Labyrinth. David Bowie's like,
No
one
thanks.
of my goblins.
Hashtag
watch-
not my goblin.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God. But it's funny watching heavyweights because Kyle and I have a generation gap. I'm 6 years older than him.
Right.
And he's like, this was for children?
But we're afraid to follow.
The kids did this, and I'm over here like, see, doesn't this explain my personality? And this explains my personality.
Oh, yeah.
The things like the way they'd make fun of each other and some of the they'd say, and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense for me.
Yeah, no, this is like, yeah, because they crack him a little harder than that. Like, there's this one scene where we meet one of the camp counselors, played by Paul Feig, who most people probably know by now for doing the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. He directed that, but he's done a lot of other stuff. So I know a lot of people got angry at him for that film, but whatever. He's done other good stuff, and he plays one of the camp counselors who used to be a camper. Pat, right? Pat. He's back, but he's lost weight. Pat was great. But well, no.
No, that's not Pat.
That's not Pat. No, Pat. No, I'm talking about Tim, the skinny.
Tim. We love Tim too.
Tim was good. Yeah,
Tim was
played
good.
by Paul Feig. Pat was played by McGowan. I forget his actor's full name, but he's the lead camp counselor in the movie. Oh, do you remember the full name?
No, but what's funny is we were looking at the rolling credits and someone named David Bowie is in it. And
Oh.
I was like, David Bowie's in this, which brings us full circle to,
He's one of the background
to
extras.
Labyrinth. And at the end, he's like, oh, David Bowie, not
Yeah.
Bowie. Yeah, different movie.
Yeah. So anyway, they're making fun of the kids are making fun of Tim because he used to be a camper, but he's lost weight, so he's all skinny now. And they're like, "What happened? Do you have a kid? You get pregnant, and then you lost him?" And they're just busting his balls, and he's taking it. He's like, "Whatever."
It's the 90s.
I know.
That's how we talk to each other.
But then he tries to counter by like, you guys are just jealous of my body and my buns are still. And he starts shaking his in like a proto twerk like movement in front of the kids. But then the new hot nurse Julie comes by and he's like, "Oh, there's a bald eagle up there." He's like trying to. But
Oh, that was so good.
yeah,
And I'm there like, yeah, that tracks for 90s movies. And Kyle's like, he can't do that in front of the kids. And I was like,
in the '90s you could. In the '90s
Yeah.
you could, and nobody
you
nobody
could
looked into it. We'll
you
say
could
that.
shake your tail feather wherever you wanted, in front of whomever you wanted, and they're like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, but this movie actually had like a few notable like kid actors from the time because we got Aaron Schwartz who plays Jerry, the main kid. The only thing I remember him from the '90s was he was one of the kids on the first Mighty Ducks, and then we have Kenan Thompson who plays Roy. Kenan Thompson, everybody knows who he is at this point. He had a career, he was on Nickelodeon with All That and Kenan and Kel, and then
SNL now?
he's SNL now. He's been on SNL for like
A long
over
time.
a decade at this point. I want to say he's near 15 years. And he was in the second Mighty Ducks movie, and maybe that's why they brought in Sean Weiss, who plays Roy, the lead kid in the movie, the head of the Chipmunks
Yeah.
cabin. Who I like him because he's just like he's funny and he's confident and
He's the cool kid at camp.
He's the cool
like
kid at
me, He's the
camp.
cool kid.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
And he's messing with Jerry and Roy and all that stuff, but he's like, I'm the guy in charge. I know what's going on.
He
here."
knows what's
Yeah.
up.
Hell, even Pat calls him a camp legend.
Yes.
High praise.
Good for
I
him.
know. And before we go into like,
Have we? I don't think we've discussed the premise of the camp getting sold.
oh yeah. So, do you want to? I've been going off for a few minutes here. Do you want to explain it?
Sure, I'll explain it to the camera. Okay. Normally, all the kids love fat camp. They get to just hang out, have fun with all their friends.
Yeah.
So the kids are real excited, and the camp owners come in and they say they're saddened and dismayed to say they had to sell the camp.
Yeah, and
And-
a really funny breakdown by Ben Stiller's parents, Jerry
Yes.
and Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira. Yeah.
Yeah.
One word of advice. Never let anyone sign your checks.
Bobby, please.
And yeah, Ben Stiller bought the camp, and he is just this cuckoo bananas fitness guru who wants to use the camp to make his like workout video that he wants to sell 1 billion copies of.
Yeah.
And he is neurotic and a little insane. And it's weird throughout the movie, at certain points, it seems like he really cares about the kids doing well until something doesn't go his way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He puts on this whole performance when he got on the stage. It's like, can you feel the energy in here? Yeah. And he's putting on this performance. There's a light force. There's a light force. And he starts going on. I don't know why I picked up on this rewatch of it, because like until recently I probably hadn't seen the movie in over 10 years, or not more. But I just like there's this part where like I don't know why I don't remember him saying this before, but he said like I was my dad was the light bulb king of North America or something, and I didn't go to school. I was taught by private tutors, and I never interacted with children when I was a kid.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. This guy's
Oh.
like, oh god, he's so isolated. But then he's like,
And he looks like he's wearing a wetsuit. His workout gear looks like a wetsuit.
Yeah,
For-
he's got
for what?
he's got some like '90s Reebok like
How
skin
did he
tone.
get in it?
I don't know. We find out later he's a slimy dude, so maybe he just excreted some.
No.
oils.
Ew. Ugh.
Yeah, but You think that maybe the guy won't be so bad because he said like, oh, when I was 12 years old, I weighed over like
312 pounds.
312 pounds. I should say
yeah.
the exact number. Yeah. So you're like, but then he says like, oh, I didn't interact with other kids, and I, and this is gonna give some later because I actually really love his character, Ben Stiller's character. He's the villain because on one level, he's just the goofy, over the top villain that you would see in a lot of like kids' 90s films. But then later, like the more we get to know him, there's some nuance to the character that I appreciate. But we'll get into that later. So let's talk about actually some of the good adult characters.
Yes.
Because we've got Pat, who we mentioned earlier.
We love Pat.
Yeah. And he's awesome. Like,
yes, Pat had been there for 18 years.
18 years, yeah.
18, and he's everybody's favorite. He's a sweet pie.
Yeah. Yeah, because he makes like Jerry feel welcome right off the bat when he comes in the bus to pick the kids up from like, I guess, where the airport shuttle drops them off. Because I can never. Here's the thing. I know that this is something that happens where parents will put their kids on an airplane and send them somewhere. That never would happen when I'm.
No.
My mom didn't even let me walk to school, and my school was in the same neighborhood.
Yeah,
my
I
mom
couldn't
was
go
like,
anywhere.
I was a little sheltered.
Yeah, you and me both.
But yeah, no, he's great. I love that line where like he's helping Jerry like carry his luggage to the cabin that he's gonna be in, and he's like, you
got a girlfriend?
Oh, no.
Oh. So you broke up with her before the summer so you could be free to play the field, huh?
Oh, yeah, you gotta play the field.
Yeah, I break up with my girlfriend before every summer.
and he's just this great like supportive mentor character for the kids. But at the same time, he's just like them because when the new nurse at camp, Nurse Julie, walks up to him, she's like, "Where's the infirmary? I have my first day here," and he's like, "I don't know." He's been going there for 18 years. And
he knows.
He
knows where it is.
He just starts buffering. He's like,
He's buffering. Oh gosh.
I know, it's great. Nurse Julie's the only character I really, unfortunately, there isn't much to say about her.
She's beautiful and sweet and kind, but she doesn't do anything that really stands out.
Yeah, because Pat has to stand up as like the opposite to Ben Stiller's character, as a healthy mentor figure for them to look up to, and Tim's kind of the support guy. He has a cool moment later at the dance scene, which we'll get to that. But Julie's just, at the end of the day, she's really kind of there just to be the nurse and show care for the kids, be kind of a motherly figure, and to be Pat's love interest. So
that's pretty important.
Yeah. I mean,
not everyone can be a main character.
Not everyone can be a main character, but if they ever made a sequel to this, I think it'd be cool if it was like the premise was like, oh, now it's going to be a boys and girls camp, and there's a battle of the sexes thing going on.
And she and Pat own it because they're married.
Exactly.
Cute.
Yeah. Or maybe Pat's retiring, and he's like, ask Jerry to come back. Like, I need you to take over the camp. Me and Julie were retiring. We're going overseas, and which I looked up Aaron Schwartz, who plays Jerry. You wouldn't recognize him. He's 30 years later, 25, 30 years later. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks like and I think that'd be cool if he came back, but because he's been fit for years now, he forgets how hard it can be being the fat kid.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to run the camp and remember what it's like so he can help the kids out. That'd be a Disney Plus limited series.
What?
Somebody's going through Disney. It's like, what do we haven't used in a while?
What can we remake?
I know, heavyweights.
That's one of 4 things that haven't had a sequel. Let's do it.
Yeah.
If it hasn't had a sequel or a remake, let's do that one.
Yeah. Next year we're coming out with The Fox and the Hound and the Turtle. It's it's possible. You know it's possible. These motherfuckers. What do we got? Anyway, so we got the cool camp counselors. There's various other characters, but I think we've gone over like mostly the most important. And my favorite of the villains.
Yes.
Lars.
Yes.
Lars.
And I am Lars.
Yeah.
Oh, we love Lars. Lars is in company with Ben Stiller's character.
Yeah.
He is German. He's got the 90s boy band hair. He's very fit. He's probably like mid-20s. Yeah. I think.
Yeah,
we love Lars.
Oh, I love how Lars is because he's just so intense in his like he's the kind of character who's like, he's got a thing where he yells and screams, but the actor makes it work. I love that first scene where he's taken over as like the steward of the chipmunk cabin where Jerry and all the other main characters. first it was Pat, but now Pat's been like demoted to janitor because like Ben Stiller doesn't. He like basically was like all the old staff. You, I brought my own. Brought his own squad. He's like,
I'm gonna say it's very 90s that the only villain who got like no real screen time, whatever, it makes me want to scream. The Asian villain got nothing. He was tied to the back tree.
There's this one Asian dude that's part of like the
He gets
Perkins.
nothing.
Yeah.
He gets nothing.
Yeah, because like he brings in a whole squad. There's like 10 of them, but only Lars and maybe that one kid who was a former camper and he's back now and he betrays the kids later. But yeah, Lars, I love he enters the cabin and they're like, he's like, "Hello, I am Lars.
That's what he does.
Don't be afraid of me." And the kids are laughing. They're like, "Lars, that's a foreign name. That's funny. Where are you from?" He gets it's like, "Far away." But then
So weird.
But then later, but like he's like good at like low intensity and high intensity. Because later in the movie, they're taking these weird body measurements of the kids, like they're they're getting on scales and they're like
tape
measuring
around. Oh, they tape measure around the one kid's hair.
Yeah, the hair. And the one kid's got like this pincher thing. They're like
To their
measuring their cheeks and like
they
they're taking
measure like their waists, but like the weird stuff.
Yeah, and then he's taking pictures of them, but some of the kids are goofing off, like we're always like picking his nose.
One shows his butt.
Yeah. Oh no, Josh is picking the nose, and Roy, he like puts the sign on his butt, and he's hitting the button on the camera too many, and the camera just breaks and lost. He's like,
You've broken my camera!
Oh, Lars is unhinged, but like he's not dangerous.
well, he's going along with child abuse. That's the thing about this movie.
Comparatively to Ben Stiller.
Compared to Ben Stiller, like he's an accomplice. He doesn't, he's like, and before we get on to the torture, the child torture of this 90s Disney film, which I forget sometimes is a Disney flick. I love the one scene where it's right after like Pat's like, he's introduced Jerry to like the chipmunks and he's in a cabin and Jerry's like, he's talking to Josh. He's like, or whatever. The Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks. I'm going to keep screwing up his name. He's talking to him and he's just like, like I snuck in some Oreos just in case. And he's like, that was very sneaky of you.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Chipmunks, download now!
all of a sudden the kids open up like their backpacks and their suitcases and their vests and they've just all snuck in.
Like a trench coat on the street. There's like chocolate bars.
Yeah, chocolate bars and candies. One kid has like 5 to 6 like meat sticks strapped to his back.
And then they hide them all through the cabin.
I know.
Under the floorboards and the posts of the bed. Now, here's my thing.
Oh.
They dump like a bunch of Hershey Kisses into the bedposts.
Yeah.
How are they going to get those out?
I've always wondered about that. I don't know. Maybe they have like a system. Maybe there's like a dump, like a little piece of wood and there's a string and they pull the string.
And they do something clever.
Yeah.
Because like they're not going to get that out. They take the top off the bedpost. Throw all the Hershey Kisses in. How you're not going to get that.
Yeah, not gonna say. Unless there's another door at the bottom and it slides out. Yep. I love this scene because if I remember correctly, I think that scene was in the trailer. And that scene, if you've never seen the movie, I mean, we'll play the clip here, but it's like, it makes me think of like the, okay, you've seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right?
Many moons ago, yes.
Many moons ago. So do you remember the very opening scene, the opening credits of the scene, before we meet any of the characters in that movie it's literally just like documentary style footage of like chocolates and candies getting made in a real chocolate.
Yes,
you see Hershey Kisses, you see like these cookies and these wafers and all this stuff get made. The cabin unload scene is like that, but if that scene was a person that had been doing shots in a bar all night,
Oh my god.
it's so decadent.
And this one kid lifts up his shirt and all the chocolate that's taped to him is melted, and the kids come over and they take it off and they lick it. Oh.
You see, that is gross. But here's the thing: that's the '90s, baby. You gotta remember '90s.
Right. I mean, they're also 11.
Yeah. '90s was a gross decade, and we loved it. I mean, slime, Gooey Louie.
I know, you pick boogers out of the
Oh
little
yeah.
head, then his head explodes.
I know. You had creepy crawlers where you made like the glue, the bugs, and
Yeah,
Nickelodeon
90s.
was sliming people left and right.
90s was the gross decade.
It just
was
worked back
nice.
then. It worked.
It could work again.
It could work. We could bring it back. Maybe someday. I don't know. But anyway, so Ben Stiller comes in, he takes over the camp, and he puts the kids to like exercising, and they do that sliding board.
Yeah, there's a whiteboard, and the kids have to slide
Yeah.
and glide And Ben Stiller looks like a little gazelle. And Lars is getting it. And then the kids are just
Yeah,
essentially.
they're falling all over each other, and
It was
that,
funny.
yeah, and he's just like, because right, they're making all this. This is supposed to be an infomercial that's supposed to make Ben Stiller like millions. So like, he's counting on this, and you can tell that at this point, okay, yeah, there's not an ounce of this guy that gives a crap about these kids because they're literally just all falling over, and he's not acknowledging it. Like, I'm feeling lighter, Lars. Like, you know, like me too, Tony. And oh god, and then they have a baseball game against the neighboring camp for the athlete kids, Camp MVP.
Yes.
And unfortunately for our heroes, they get their butts whooped because they're not athletic at all, you know. So these and Tim even asks like the MVP counselor, like, hey, can you tell the kids to go easy? And he's like, no, we're the side villains. We gotta keep their butt.
Oh, and also this is all leading up to, at the end, they're supposed to have a camp-wide like athlon of sorts.
Right, the Apache Relay.
Yes.
The Apache Relay. So this is just to set up, you know, the final like big trophy event. But the kids are getting their butts kicked left and right. Half of them are like bouncing between the field and the infirmary, and Nurse Julie's like taking care of them. They're like all stacked on a bench, and they're like trying to heal a healer. And it just sucks. And
It just sucks.
it just sucks. And then all this other stuff starts happening. The attractions of, because like the camp has multiple attractions. One is like as go-karts, which is what Jerry was really
Jerry
excited
was
for.
friggin' stoked on the go-karts.
Right, because he feels like he's a very slow person and go-karts are fast. And they had this thing called the Blob, which is this big water thing you bounce people off of.
Yeah, a big like just blow up thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Lars slays it with a spear, which they never explain where he gets the spear from, because it is a spear. It is a this
He
thing.
probably brought it with him.
I know. This is my ancestors. They used it to kill. Kill what? None of your business. I feel like there's a missing scene where like Lars just like he assembles a spear like a custom pole cue, and he's like,
They could have had a whole the word escapes me.
montage. Backstory.
Spin off of how Lars
Oh.
acquired his spear.
Oh yeah, it'd be like young Lars
Young Lars.
or little Lars.
Little Lars.
Little-
Yeah.
His story, it's like it'll be like the Joker movie. We see how he becomes the bad guy. We all know.
Yes.
Yeah, so that sucks.
Rom-com when Lars meets Tony.
I
Tony is Ben Stiller's character.
Right. I see potential in you, Lars. Join me, and we'll torture children together.
I already have my spear.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh god. So yeah, he takes away everything fun from the camp. Like they obviously he changes the food. It's all super healthy stuff. And then they disassemble the go-karts. They slay the Blob. Everything they get their ass kicked by in the baseball game by the MVPers. And then this scene in the movie I want to talk about is probably the scene that I related to most growing up, because I've always been a chubby dude. It's always been the dance. They bring over the girls from a neighboring all-girls camp, and apparently all the girls there are skinny, and they're all they're all skinny, pretty girls, and Tony and even Jerry says this when he's writing like a letter to his grandma.
Yeah.
That he's like, oh, this is gonna suck because none of us are, and it's right. None of them have the confidence to go over and talk to the girls.
Because the girls are all on one side,
Yeah.
the boys are all on the other side with the whole dance floor between them.
Yeah, I really related to this growing up, because I like it is. I got married a little over a year ago. I'm still surprised I'm married. I have had zero game for over 30 years, and so I really related to this too. And I mean, they're so afraid that this one girl starts to walk over to them, and they're like, "Holy crap, she's sitting this way!" And she has this angelic glow around her,
Yes.
and she just walks up, and they're all like, "Oh, "Yeah, right. Where's the bathroom?" And they're like, they all point like,
So creepily.
yeah, they're just like, 'cause they're all like stunned. They're like, they're like half a second away from the blue screen of death in their brains.
They're not even buffering at that point.
I know, but then Tim's like, "Screw this! Is horrible. Tony shouldn't be doing this to them." So he's dancing. He's just dancing like a madman.
Like a crazy person.
Yeah. And the idea is like, if we can just look like we're having fun, maybe everyone will join in. And it starts to work. Like Pat joins in, Julie joins in, and then the boys join in. And then the girls are like, let's give it a shot. And then they start dancing with the boys, and they actually have fun with them. They just let loose, and they forget about, like, you know, skinny or fat or whatever you want to talk about. And it's a nice, cool scene. But then, of course, Tony comes in and he shuts it down, and he's like, no.
But one of them got a smooch.
One of
One
them
of
got
the
a
kids
smooch.
got a real slow smooch.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Salute.
Okay, and then there's the scene. Pat, bless his heart. The go-karts are deconstructed. Jerry's real sad. And Pat pushes Jerry around the track in the busted down, broken up go-kart as fast as he possibly can. And it's so wholesome. And it's so cute.
It is great. It's a nice little bonding moment.
Oh, and the nurse sees.
I know. He's
Right,
earning them
the
points.
nurse sees and she's like, oh my God, Pat's so sweet. I
Yeah.
love him.
It's like, oh my God.
She's
I'm
like,
gonna,
wow, he's a gentleman.
I'm gonna jump him like he's the Blob.
Why? He's a blob.
Like the Blob. I'm not calling him, you know, like the thing in the water. Like the jump. The jump is.
I thought you meant the Blob, the B movie.
No.
I was like, I don't understand your reference.
No.
Okay, the Blob is the thing they jump on of in the water.
Yeah,
the big
yeah.
inflatable
Yeah,
thing.
the inflatable thing. That's what's called. Yeah.
All right, we're all right here together.
Yeah.
Jump on you like you're the Blob.
Mm.
Valentine's Day cards. Be my Blob.
Yeah.
No context.
And oh God, I forgot. Like they made earlier in the movie, Goldberg from Mighty Ducks. I want to say his name's Josh, but I think that's his actual real life name. But anyway, Tony's like doing he's doing a shakedown of the Chipmunks cabin. He's finding all the candy. they
Oh
stole.
yeah.
And he gets in front of Jerry's face. And he's like, and he gets psycho with him. He gets totally psycho with him. It's like, I bet you didn't hide any candy, but I bet you know who did. Tell me where they are, Jerry. You know, anybody who hides it is not your friend. They're a destroyer. And Jerry's like, oh. He's like, oh God, I wish an adult was here, but the adult's right in front of him. But
And
then
then didn't Ben Stiller be like, do you want your parents to know you're a destroyer? Like he said something weird like that.
yeah, he's like super over
He
the.
is unhinged.
I know, it's great. It is awesome. But then, like, you know, Goldberg steps in and he's just like, I know who did it. And he's like, wait, let the man talk. And he's like, Seymour Butts. And he pulls the Seymour Butts gag on him, and he's just like, ah, and then he cracks another joke or two at Ben Stiller's character. And Ben Stiller's like, ha ha ha, funny man. And then all the boys are laughing like, ha ha, we did it, we got him, we busted it, like, then freeze frame and like white dissolve in on his
Yes.
face, and wakes up the next morning and his bunk bed is just like done. He's like gone.
It's
And
empty. The kid's gone. Kyle was like, they killed
I
him.
know.
They killed him.
Even the one, like the guy in the cafeteria is like, I heard about your little friend.
Sorry to hear about your little friend Josh. He's dead.
It's like, holy crap, this is dark crap. We don't know what happened to him. And then,
Oh my God.
and I think it's right after the dance scene. Like all the other, they're in the beds, their bunks and stuff. And then he comes in, he's like, he's a zombie.
And I'm like, oh, they gave him a lobotomy.
I know, right? They're like, oh God, no.
And he's like, hello? Huh? Like feeling everyone's faces, like, is this you?
Jerry,
Yeah.
Which is really bad because they hadn't done Mighty Ducks 3 yet. So, anyway, he's like, I
Must be good to see my big ass again.
they all have a laugh about it. They fill him in on what's been going on. He's like, oh yeah, Tony kicked me out of the camp, but he didn't refund my father, and my dad's a lawyer, so he threatened to sue. So that's how he got back in. But it just makes for a great moment because you're like, it's like, holy crap, what did they do to this kid? Like, you know, they didn't kill him. Like, Disney's not, you know.
Yeah, like, you know, they didn't really give him a lobotomy,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Oh
it's
man.
90s.
So they decide like we got to retaliate. So while Ben Stiller goes for a jog, which even when he's jogging, he's crazy. he's just like, he's doing like these stretches like, ugh,
Yeah,
ugh,
that's very accurate.
come on, T, burn it. And then he like goes off, and then he's like, at one point he picks up just like a random log. I was like, come on, you devil log. It's like, come on, you devil log. Devil log.
Oh god, Kyle compared his character to the same one he played in Dodgeball. He said they're practically the same person.
Exactly. He's just like, to get the character from Dodgeball, who I forget what his name is, but take this character, take Tony Perkis, but give him Zoolander's intelligence, and then you have the character from Dodgeball. Ben Stiller, he's so funny, and he got into shape for these roles, because later we see
He was built.
right.
He was, yeah.
He had that like that Bruce Lee kind of cut looking build to him. Yeah. So they break into his like personal like cabin where, you know, the camp owner cabin, and they find out he's making like these promotional posters where he's photoshopped them onto skinny bodies.
Yes, all the kids' heads on his skinny little bodies.
I know, and it's just like, even as a kid, I was like, that doesn't look right. But then they find the chest, and it turns out he's been withholding all their letters to their families.
Yep.
It's just like, whoa.
Oh, although that's really a classic 90s trope for all those kinds of movies. Like, well, I know Holes wasn't 90s. It was what, early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
I think they did that Holes too. Like the kids writing to their parents.
They may have. I forgot. I
might
just
be-
watched Holes recently too.
I might be getting like 6 things mixed up, but it's a 90s trope. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
keep the letters from the families. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, doing it. He's keeping the letters.
Yeah. Ooh. But anyway, they get out of there, and then they're like, well, what do we do? This guy's crazy. And then it turns out that the one counselor who betrayed them and showed Tony where all the hidden candy was, we never hear him say this, but it's pretty obvious. It turns out he was setting himself up to run a little business because he's, what's the word I'm looking for? He's smuggling in candy
and burgers
and fast food and all this stuff, and he's
Yes.
making a buck on the side, and even
And he's putting it in a log, in a hollow log.
a
and
stump,
then,
yeah.
And then the kids come get it by nightfall.
I know.
Yep.
Oh my god. And it makes sense. He's like, it's like, was he planning this from the beginning?
Yeah.
Because obviously,
Confiscate the candy only to resell it to them.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's not just the kids, the camp guy. Like Pat, we see Pat at one point like pull out like a couple of bags of like fried chicken or something.
Yeah. Bless Pat.
I know. Oh man. So then we get to the day where they've been there for like I guess a couple months at that point, and now they're gonna weigh them to see how much weight they've lost. But Tony doesn't know.
They've
about-
been sneaking.
They've been sneaking.
And little Jerry gained 9 pounds since he got there.
I know. He's like getting real angry, and he yells around. He's like, Cheetahs do not. I can't sell fat kids or something. He says something like that.
Ben Stiller loses his marbles just a little bitsy.
I know.
Get off the scale. He's like, okay, re-roll the cameras. Next kid, you gained 5 pounds. Get off the scale.
Josh Birnbaum, step on up. Get on the scale, son. All right. Get off the scale.
Okay, then.
Turn off the camera. All right.
Now you have to run 20 miles
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna go on a 20-mile hike.
with no food.
No food, and they're just up into the mountains, and we learned a few more things. Like there's this one point where like they're going through it. Pat and Tim and Julie are trying to come up with a plan as to how to get rid of Tony. I don't know why it's difficult. That one of them, like Tim, literally has a lawyer friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, we got nothing."
And that kid's dad is a lawyer.
Exactly. Like I understand
Because they're like, CYS, Children and Youth Services, can't come for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I understand to a degree, like, okay, it's a kids' 90s film. They can't turn it into a legal drama.
Yeah.
They can't, you reckon you hear, dun, dun, and then it's like, like Law and Order comes in. Ice-T comes in. It's like, what are you doing these kids? They're on the hike, and the one kid falls over. He's one like the kids that probably, if I check the credits, he probably has a name, but he's just like fat kid with glasses. That's
Probably real asthmatic.
Yeah.
He like stumbles and falls and he's wheezing.
Yeah.
Kids try to help him and Ben Stiller's like, leave him behind. He's weak.
Yeah. no one helped me. And he says that. That's one of the things I like. He says that.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to this part of the reason why I really like this villain so much. And they reach a point where he's like, oh, okay, all right. You guys are doing better than I thought. So now we're not going to return to camp. We're going to keep going endlessly until you've lost the weight. And we're going to climb that mountain. And then all the kids are like, oh, God. And they're like, okay, we gotta get him. So they come up with they're gonna prank him where they're gonna have him do a sit up into Goldberg's ass.
By putting a blindfold on him.
I know, like.
Well, we skipped a little bit. Has he hung from the branch yet?
Oh, that's right. One of the kids are like, we don't want to go up the mountain. We want to have fun.
And they're like on a cliff
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, they're like, and there's this like old tree, like.
This gave me so much anxiety.
It's hanging over the cliff. It's hanging over the cliff, and he just goes, woo! And he leaps onto and he does like gymnastic stuff. He's like oh.
Olympics level, like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, he's gonna fall, and then that solves everyone's problems.
And then it's like, oh my God, this dude's crazy. We gotta get rid of him. And then he ninja flips right in front of him, like, what was that?
Yeah. He just
Didn't quite hear you.
flips. He had to have sailed like 10 feet to
I
get
know.
back on that cliff.
Say what you will about Tony Perkis, because there's a lot. But the man's in shape. You gotta give him that.
Yep.
So yes, and they play the prank on him.
Yeah, they said, we want to do good, no, we want to do better. And then the kid said, settle an argument. Is it true that you can't do a sit-up if you can't see anything?
Right.
So that's when he's like, of course you can. Look, I'll show you. And he lays down, and the kids put the blindfold on him. And he's getting ready to sit up, and then the kid puts his butt in his face. And blindfold comes off, kid's butt in his face. And Kyle's like, they're really just antagonizing him. And I'm like, yeah, they're 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they are.
They're starving. They, they're
They're hungry. They've been on the heat. They've been hiking. They've been mistreated. And they're 11.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to antagonize this psycho.
It all makes sense. May not have been the best play, but it makes sense.
Oh, my God. And then, I don't know how they got him hogtied and back to camp.
Right, because he falls in a pit.
Yeah, he chases them and he falls in a pit, which the kids designed. Somehow they found time to do that.
Well, no, they came across it earlier in the hike.
Did they?
There's just a pit there for some reason. It was covered up with boards.
Oh.
And then later.
Where was I during this?
I don't know. It was real quick. Like they just were like, oh, here's a pit. Oh, don't fall into that. And they walk around it. And then they come back and I guess the wind blew and knocked some leaves over on it so no one could see it.
So they just got old Benny Boy
Yeah.
in the ditch
Yeah.
and hogtied him. And the scene cuts to Jerry back at camp talking to Larry, Moe, and Curly.
Pat, Tim, and Julie.
And Julie. He's like, hey, don't worry, we got him. And then it cuts to Ben Stiller, like hogtied behind some zappy fence in a barn or something.
Yeah, they touched I want to say a moth lamp.
Yes, they had a little bug zapper.
Bug zapper, that's
Bug
what I want.
zapper.
Yeah. And then they tied it to an electric fence, so he's like,
Smart kids.
Yeah. And at first, Pat's like, this is super illegal. We gotta let him go.
And then he says some Pat. I don't remember what it was, but it was not nice.
When this is all over, I'm gonna deliver one well-placed kick to your groin that'll stop you from ever having children again, you worthless piece of...
Are these ropes tight enough? Because we can get more if we need them.
Yeah.
It was not nice. Pat takes a lot of beans. So then he's like, okay, never mind. We'll go.
Pat's like, I'm so sorry. And then Ben Stiller is like, you suck. And he's like, all right, duct tape back on your mouth. Leave him. And this whole time we're like, is anyone feeding him? Until eventually we see the little British boy goes in to feed him.
Yeah, he gives him a little something. They're not starving him. They're not keeping him in the best of conditions, but he's alive.
Yeah.
Like, we'll illegally imprison this guy, but we won't murder him.
It's just kidnapping.
It's just kidnapping.
And really, he's still on the same property, so is it really kidnapping? Loophole.
I don't know. Legal Eagle. Let us know. Leave a comment.
Yeah.
So then after that, then they have a scene that made the earlier scene of them hiding candy look like amateur hour, and then they have they have the food version of Woodstock.
High on chocolate. They get 20 pizzas delivered.
Yeah.
And they're just candy, s'mores, chocolate, pizza everywhere.
Yeah. It is crazy. They're going, it's like a food orgy, and they're just all like getting Twinkies in each other's faces and jelly and peanut butter and pieces and
Oh
burgers.
yeah, the kids are covered in stuff.
Yeah.
And is this where we see the tree scene where Lars is tied up?
Oh, yeah, they tied up Lars after they
Lars and the poor unnamed sweet Asian man who gets no screen time or credit
Yeah.
because Disney in the 90s.
Yeah.
They
If we
tie
learn
him-
nothing from Star Wars, now give it 20 more years.
Yeah, they tie him up to the tree and put honey on them. And Lars is like, oh, but the bears. I can't do an accent. Can you do it?
The bears.
Thank you. And there's like, oh, sucks to suck. And they put the honey on them, and we're like, they're just straight up killing Lars and the background guy. And it is quite funny when a minute later they hear Lars screaming. And,
Ah!
and they're like, oh, the bear must have got him. So they run out, and Lars is just like, there's just a deer there looking at him.
Yeah.
And everyone laughs
little fawn.
hysterically. Just a little buddy. And me from Central PA, I'm like, yeah, you got deers within 5 feet of you all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
I've
all
seen,
the kids laugh at him, but maybe he's never seen a deer.
exactly. I've seen some on my front lawn here, and I'm not exactly, But that's the weird thing. Like, where the hell is he from where they ain't got deer? Where you from, bro?
Big city, maybe? He went from Germany to New York City.
Oh, yeah.
They probably have deer in Germany.
They gotta have deer in Germany.
I'm not an animal geographer. I don't know. I don't know what the name is for a person who knows where animals are. But I'm not that person.
I think that would all be under zoologists. I'm like, I'm just gonna generalize the whole field. Yeah, but then like later they're having the food orgy, and a couple of them go up to like, Lars, we found out if you don't have a job, you get deported.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
These kids.
I know.
That hurt.
Well, he's been part of the torture, so I don't blame him. So he's like,
Yeah.
"Are you with us or against us?" And he's like, like, "I'm with you. I love you." And I love Lars. Here's the thing. It makes no reason why they would release Lars. Like it's like he's been just as bad as part of like joining in and helping Tony and being mean to them. But you know what? I like Lars, so I'm glad he's in the rest of the film.
Yes.
I like whatever. He's a good enough
There's-
character.
There's just something about it from the beginning where you're like, he's a likable villain,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
I have to go to the bathroom.
So yeah, so they all wake up the next morning.
Not feeling so hot.
No,
Uh,
they may have taken it too far, just a tad, just a bit. But then they get like a rousing speech from Pat about how they gotta get their crap together and we're just as, and this is one thing that really like is cool about this movie because it's like it's got good messaging, because they basically said what. The fat kid is usually ever the star of the movie. He's usually like the supporting character. It's like, Bruce from Matilda. You got Augustus Gloop from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory ringing up again. You got literally the kid from Monster Squad, who they all call Fat Kid.
My name is Horace.
But and they're like, okay, let's make a movie where the fat kid's the star. And you know what? Let's make every kid in this kid movie the fat kid. And they took the token fat kid for each movie and they all made them center stage, which I personally enjoyed because again, I've always been a chubby dude, so I appreciated that. But then they didn't just but then they introduced the stereotypes of, oh, well, fat kids, they like to eat. They just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and that's all they are. But this movie is like, it brings up stuff like, like a lot of them have self-esteem issues, and that's why some of them eat. It's like a coping mechanism, because like the dancing with the girls, they don't feel, they're not confident enough in themselves to go dance with the girls. Jerry feels slow, and that's why he wants to drive the go-karts because he's not very athletic. And I like how they're just like, yes, they are more than people that eat. They have all these other layers to them. They have interests, and they don't eat just because they're genetically prone to eat, because there's like mental emotional factor to it. And I really appreciate that because and then Pat, like I said, he gives that speech where he's like, we got to take responsibility for ourselves. You guys are just as good as anybody. Let's make Camp Hope again. Let's get back together. Let's, and they do stuff. They like Nurse Julie teaches them healthy eating habits. They go on little jogs with Pat and stuff like that. They do what Tony should have been doing from the very effing beginning.
Yeah.
Not throwing them into like like exercises that take people weeks to get used to. You know,
Yeah.
goes really well. And then Parent Day comes, where
Yes, I guess all the parents fly in to see how their kids are doing.
I know they
What is that like?
there was a
funny.
particular demographic they targeted to get these campers here. It's like, what's your household income? Wonderful.
Perfect.
Wonderful. We'll get them skinny by the end of the summer. So they all come in, and Jerry's daddy's like, oh, he didn't lose any weight. So
Knock off Dr. Phil.
Jeffrey Tambor, yeah. He does look like Dr. Phil.
He does in that.
So then they show them a videotape of like their summer at camp, but it's like a hell tape.
Yes, yeah. Band together to make the tape.
Oh, Pat,
Tim, and
Julie,
Julie.
because they had the cameraman all summer who like.
Oh yeah, the cameraman was like, Ben Stiller owes me $600. This dude sucks. So they're like, we have the cameraman on our side.
Yeah.
Let's make a tape showing what these kids really went through.
They make it all dramatic too. It's like to be like, da-da-da. And Nurse Julie is like, Tony Perkis can damage children. Yours might be next.
Yeah.
But then they add stuff. They have like Goldberg make it look like he's cutting open a live rat and eating it raw. Like, oh my God. And then, but you can't keep a good villain down, right? And then the tape ends and everyone's like aghast and shocked.
This
and
is
then
what my children have been going through.
It's like, oh my God. And then Ben Stiller just comes out of nowhere in like a window in the very top of the auditorium.
It would be like 2 to 3 floors up. Like it's a big open room, but height-wise,
Yeah.
it's like 500 feet up in the air. He's just chilling. He just appears.
He just appears. He's like, oh.
Oh, my Arrested Development fans will like this. He's just like, did somebody say wonder? Arrested Development fans will get it.
And then he flips down and he's acting all crazy. And he's
Yeah,
like,
he just jumps down from the window.
he's throwing glass on the floor and walking on it to prove how strong he is. And then he says this line where he's like,
Parents, you're the cause of all their problems.
He's right.
Yeah.
and this is why I really like this character. Let me go off here for a second.
Go off.
Here's the thing. He mentions earlier in the film, like I said, he used to be a really fat kid too. But he mentions the other stuff, like, he was homeschooled. He never really got to go hang out with other kids. And his dad was very distant. Like, his dad didn't hang out with him or anything. Didn't like... And then we meet his dad, who's just Ben Stiller, but in old age makeup. I like how he's just like a dark reflection of like what the kids could kind of be in the future. Because he lost weight. He was a fat kid that lost weight, but he never dealt with like his self-esteem issues. So that's why he's so like unhinged and stuff like that. He never really dealt with his problems. So physically he's better, but mentally he's out there. And that's one of the things I like about the movie, that Pat chose like, good supportive, speech, and how he's very nice to the kids and he's always trying to make them feel better. He never he's never like lying to them or anything, but he's a better role model. If Tony had gone to Camp Hope when he was a kid and he made friends, maybe he might still be fat, but mentally he might be not as, he
might be happy.
He might be generally happy, at least content, But that's why I like the teacher, like, hey man, you can lose weight, but unless you deal with your mental emotional issues that you may have, you're gonna end up like Tony. So I like that. I like this. Like, good health is more than physical health; it's mental health, and then and they don't go super deep into it. Once again, goofy '90s kids comedy from Disney. Like, they don't go super deep into it, but it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's there, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I think that makes him a good villain, because they could have just made him some jerk health nut.
Yeah.
Kept it simple, but no, there's some layers to it. You learn. I dig it. I'm digging it.
And then he punches fake Dr. Phil. He karate chops him in the back.
Yeah. What's Oprah gonna do now? She's going to fall back up. I think we forget sometimes that Oprah put him on the map. Like, I feel like
she put a lot of people on the map. That's for a later conversation.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz.
Every time she's like on Twitter and she sees Dr. Oz, like, oh crap, what did he do now? Running for governor. What?
Lives with his mom to run for governor.
Anyway.
Yeah, Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Karate
So
chops fake Dr. Phil. And then he's trying to show off and he accidentally trips and slides and hits his head.
Yeah, he backflips into the wall.
Yeah, and slides and hits it.
So
He's done.
his father, Tony Perkins Sr.
Oh, Mr. Perkins, sir.
Papa.
Papa.
as he likes to be called, which if he did that to me, I'd be like, we're going to stick with Mr. Anyway.
Mr. Papa.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, don't sue me. We'll shut down the camp. I'll refund everybody. And then they're like, no, the kids are like, no, we want to stay here. And Pat steps up and he's like, I'll run the camp. And it's great. You're like, he's completed his character arc. He's reached the peak of the mountain.
And they reinflate the blob that they can jump on.
They resuscitated the blob.
The water thingy.
Yeah, no, it's great. And go-karts are all back together. And then they painted a mural to the Bushkins, the original owners. And they're
cute.
I know, it's great. And then the Apache Relay, the big competition, the triathlon against Camp MVP.
Yes, MVP.
Yeah. And is it just me, or it's called the Apache Relay? And it only half makes sense. Because the camp, all our heroes they're dressed like like stereotypical Indian garb, right? But then the MVPers, they're dressed in Greek
and togas.
Togas. So why's it called the Apache Relay? Shouldn't it be called like America versus Europe or something? I don't know. like I kind of get it.
War of the continents, like anything.
The SummerSlam's taken. I was gonna say some. Kyle.
Dominic Mysterio would partake in that kind of thing.
But yeah, like on paper, I kind of get it because like, the camp MVP kids are in better shape. They're like, we're like Greek gods. We're like, but it's like it's still called the Apache Relay. Somebody wrote that into the script, and on the third draft, they're like, should we change this? It's like, no, we got to get it in. We got to get it into Disney. They're calling for it. So they do the Apache Relay, and at first our heroes are getting sand.
Yep, not so good.
Yeah, because I do respect that they don't make it look like, now they're in great shape after just a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they catch up to them in the intellectual parts of the triathlon because it's like
Toga Kid can't name 5 vice presidents.
Yeah.
Ellen DeGeneres. He's just like naming some weird shit.
Because he keeps saying share.
Share?
Right? Yeah, that's what it is.
He's saying share. But there's also one part of it that was like, what kid would know? Nicholas, this is the British kid. Nicholas.
Oh, hey, there it is.
Yeah.
He's like General Poppins.
Yeah.
Mr. Bigger. I don't know who he said, but he says 5.
He says 5, yeah.
Fast.
Like real quick. And then there's also this art section where they have to name famous pieces of art. And after Mona Lisa, I was done.
No.
They really said, I feel like there was like this whole section was like they allowed Camp Hope to pick what happened in this section. And they just stacked the cards in their favor.
No kids getting to name whatever these art pieces are.
No.
Like, this one's Pamplemousse LaCroix.
Pamplemousse LaCroix. Anywho.
That's grapefruit LaCroix, but said.
I know what it is.
I learned it the other day. Anyway.
So then they have the go-kart race, which is Jerry's big moment.
Hey, Jerry loves his go-karts, and they decked this go-kart out. This is like Pimp My Ride for summer camp. They put a bunch of extra tubes on it. Now it can go real fast.
That's what we need. We just needed more tubes.
That's it. They don't do anything. We just needed more tubes.
So they're racing, and despite the fact that Jerry didn't get to race most of the summer, he's apparently very good.
It's just inside of him. He's always wanted to race.
He's got that. This is the prototype of Talladega Nights right here. Of course, the camp MVP kid cheats. Who they don't even give the kid. I don't think the character has a name. He's just a kid. MVP kid. He doesn't. He's lowly. So they race, he cheats, he gets ahead of Jerry, and then for some reason, there's a little grass ramp towards the last stretch of it, because that's safe for the kids. Not that this go-kart race is that safe, because these are like hardcore go-karts.
It's like go-kart going over the other go-kart, like off of this ramp.
There's a big switch, Jerry pulls it, it turns on a fan that turbo boosts him over like it's effing Knight Rider. And they win the race. And they win the
Ta-da!
That's great, and the MVP kids are like, you guys cheated. We were protesting, and they're like, you, and they throw the trophy into the lake.
Good.
It's okay because they're winners in all the way that matter, right?
Yeah.
And then Pat kisses Julie, and that's good. That's nice. And then Oh, Jerry repeats to Pat what he said to him at the beginning of the film, where Pat was like, "Are you ready for the best damn summer of your life?" And Jerry's like,
Thanks for the best damn summer of my life.
Same here, Pop.
it's like, they brought it back.
Yes. Oh, and Ben Stiller gets taken away by the police at some point.
I think.
Someone carts him off.
Oh yeah, we forgot. Like when Dad shows up, I think it's just Nurse Julie, and I'm guessing either the family lawyer helps him into like a stretched limousine. Yeah, so that I know. I like to think if they ever did, like we were talking about the sequel earlier, if they ever did make the sequel, like somehow Ben Stiller, like Tony gets away with everything, and years later he becomes like the owner of the MVP camp.
Oh.
And he is using the kids there to get back at the Camp Hope and Pat and everybody.
Yes.
I've had ideas for sequels.
He's got things. He's got ideas.
I got them. All right, so yeah, that was Heavyweights. So once again, this was your first time watching it as an adult. How do you feel overall? How you feel about the movie?
I thought it was really great. I thought it was very cute.
Yeah,
it was very on brand 90s.
Oh yeah, this is very
yeah,
90s
and like
film.
I said with Kyle, he's 6 years younger than me, so there were a lot of things he was just like, "What? Kids movie? What? They're really saying that?" I'm like, "This is just doesn't this explain me? My personality?" Yeah, it was nice. Even though I hadn't seen it, it was so 90s. It had that nice nostalgia feeling for me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like I said, I hadn't watched this movie in like at least over a decade. So this is, rewatching it was a nice throwback. All these little moments, and there are little moments throughout that we haven't talked about, but that's okay. Go see it for yourself.
Yes, watch it for yourself.
Yeah, you can get it's out on DVD. I got it this past year. It's also on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus, you can see it there. I wanted the DVD, so I got my movies here and back there. So yeah, no, it's a good fun film, and it's got a good message at the end of the day. And I'd rather see a sequel to this than the live action remake of Moana. That they're doing it. They're doing it.
They don't have to though.
But The Rock needs it because Black Adam didn't do well.
It's Black Adam.
Exactly.
I've never heard of that.
It just came out a year ago. It was a superhero movie.
Oh yeah, I never saw it.
Well, it didn't do well. And he promoted the crap out of it. And he made a lot of claims like, it's going to restructure the DC universe.
Ugh.
And then it didn't.
And then it didn't.
All right. Well, anyway, so Heavyweights, it was a nice nostalgia ride for me. I'm glad it was a nice new ride for you.
Yes.
Oh, man. But anyway, I guess that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, guys, if you've seen Heavyweights, let us know down in the comments how you feel about it. And like and subscribe and all that stuff.
You can see us ramble some more and jabber on about things we like and things we don't like.
Exactly, yeah. And next time, I think I picked the movie this time, so next time you get to pick the movie. Oh, God. I don't know what she's going to pick, but she's... Ooh,
As
okay.
the weirdest person in probably a 50-mile radius, I am excited to pick the next one.
Oh, this is going to be... Oh, sweet. All right, but anyway, guys, thank you all. Hopefully we'll see you next time on Refresh Cinema. Take it easy.
Bye. I didn't like that, but I did it anyway.
Do you want to redo it?
Nope. We'll keep all that. We'll keep that whole thing.
Ah!
Finger gun.